Hi guys, today we're actually going to be covering the blame that Joe Biden has. Now, there's a lot of things happening at the same exact time. The whole entire situation that we're dealing with, multiple situations, multiple fronts, this is Joe Biden's fault. Joe Biden is to blame. We're starting with the electric vehicle situation. Now, the Green Deal, the new Green Deal, whatever the heck Joe Biden wanted to call it, he's still trying to pass it till today. And it's failing us, the American people. And us, the American people, do not want electric cars. We do not want that piece of crap Ford electric E150, F-150, whatever the heck you want to call it. I don't want it. If you want to sell me a Tesla, I don't want it. Listen, I love Elon Musk. I love X. I love the social media platform that he created. I love Tesla as a company. I invest in Tesla as a company. But the cars, I don't want them. Solar, I don't want it. Solar City, I didn't want it then when it was named Solar City. Tesla, Electrify America, I don't want that. Nothing. I don't want electric. I don't want any of that. It's not the time for this. Solar panels are not technological advanced yet. Okay, so if you were to look at it in the social aspect of solar panels, right? You're more doing it for the aspect of you creating electric. You're like, oh, I feel special now. I'm creating electric. Oh, I'm helping the environment. Look at the statistics. Look at the facts here. Let's break this down. If you were to have a solar panel, you would pay $50,000 right off the bat. Then, as soon as you pay $50,000, you still need to pay your electric bill if you're not producing enough electric. And on top of that, you need to pay that monthly dues for the solar panel. So now you're sitting there paying a $200, $300 payment to the solar company every single year or every single month. That's the same exact money that you would be paying towards the electric company. And then sometimes you still have to pay the electric company more money out of your pocket. So some people say, oh, well, I didn't pay 1 penny for the electric company, which is fine because now you're paying it towards something. Maybe in the future, you're not going to be able to pay electric. That's fine. But now when you're renting it out from a third party, you're not getting any tax incentives. You're not getting any benefits of it. And, if you did not have the tax incentives of doing the solar panels, you would not do it in the very first place. It's because of the fact that you get taxed, or we get taxed to the high heavens. We have so much stockpiles of money just lying around that we decide to give it back to you, which is just disgusting. They could have just not taxed us, but that's a whole nother situation here. What they need to do is they need to get away from the solar manufacturing companies. They need to get away from the electric vehicle manufacturers, and they need to go back to gasoline powered manufacturers. Toyota, or the most we could possibly go is a Prius, because that's a half and half. That's a hybrid. Hybrid model cars are much better off for everybody because you're still going to the electric. You're still going to the gas station, filling up your car with a couple of minutes. You're just not going out of your way as much for an electric, as a gas car right now, because all you have to do is you have to go to the gas station. All you have to do is fill it up for a few minutes. You're good. For electric cars, you need to sit there for hours, I'm telling you, like 3-4 hours to fill up your car just because of the fact that you have an electric car. That's not fair. The technology is not good enough yet. If you want an electric car, wait 5 years from now, and the EVs will be at the same exact level as gasoline powered cars. Tesla's at the forefront of that. That's why I'm saying the Tesla technology is the best in the market right now. Knowing all of that background, let's dig into the article that we have here. So the Biden administration is backing away from progressive push for electric vehicles as consumer demands remain low. Nobody wants the cars. President Joe Biden is reportedly preparing to ease its push to force electric car manufacturers into American consumers as customer demand for electric vehicles remains slow. Dealerships have expressed serious concerns, and automakers have had to cut down on production and revamp production of gasoline-powered cars. The New York Times reported that the move was a consideration of automakers and labor unions from the administration, as it was forcing limits on tailpipe emissions to force Americans to switch from gas-powered cars to more expensive electric vehicles, which often have performance issues in adverse weather conditions. Yes, that's the same exact thing right here. If you were to live in Boston and you have a Tesla, in the winter you have about half of your mileage that you have in the summer. That's so bad. Try using your phone outside in the winter. It dies like crazy because of the fact that the weather conditions affect the battery. And then if you were to use your phone in the hot sun, the screen just dims. You can't even see the screen, and then it dies anyway. So there's no point of using it if it's hot outside or using when it's cold outside, because either way, it could be too cold to operate, it could be too hot to operate, and then the battery's affected, and then you have a 20% battery, and then you're nowhere with an electric plug. So you can't do anything. That's just what we have to deal with. It's disgusting. Instead of essentially requiring automakers to rapidly wrap up sales of electric cars over the past few years, the administration would give car manufacturers more time, with sharp increase in sales not required until after 2030, the report said, noting that the change will likely be officially rolled out in the next few months. Former President Donald Trump has slammed Biden's ridiculous all-electric car hoax, saying the communists in the Biden administration were the ones who were behind the Biden's green agenda. Within 3 years, all of these cars will be made in China, Trump added. And it's completely true, because we actually had Philips companies to produce the Philips bulbs, you know, the actual light bulbs from Philips in Massachusetts. And then the company just moved out to China. So it just got up and moved. As soon as we gave them all of these tax incentives for putting up a windmill, as soon as we give them all of these incentives to actually build a company, they just move right out. It's cheaper overseas. Trump said that if Biden's mandate continues, to the auto industry in the United States will cease to exist, with China taking all the manufacturing of electric cars. Both Trump and I will stop the madness immediately, he said. Mexico and China love Biden's idiotic policies. Save Michigan and other auto states. Save the American consumer. I have completely agree, because all of these electric cars are made overseas. It's not made here. If you were to look at Ford says, oh, built tough, you're American, you're American. No, you build your cars overseas, just like Toyota. Toyota builds their cars in Japan. We all know. Okay, don't lie to us. We know where the cars are manufactured. It doesn't mean that Toyota is not a good car. No, it does not mean that whatsoever. I have a Toyota. I have a Prius. I save on the gas. Under Joe Biden, the gas prices have increased dramatically over Donald Trump. So now, of course, we need to save some money. So I bought a hybrid. It's much better off. So if you do want to get in the middle of both worlds, if you do want to go half electric, half gas, and then you don't want to deal with the charging of it, which is the most annoying part, by the way, then you could just get a hybrid and you're all good. So, of course, we have Trump, of course, at the end there saying that he's just going to do a lot better. We already knew that he was going to do a lot better. He needs to bring America back to where it was under Trump, because a lot of things were being produced under Trump. Everyone was hiring under Trump. Everyone was flourishing under Trump. The stock market was at record highs under Trump. And then everybody's making the excuse, oh, the stock market's up, the stock market's up. No, it's not. Can you stop saying that the stock market's up? What? If because of the fact that it increased 3% from last year, it's supposed to increase every single year. But if you were to look at the differential between the actual inflation rate in the stock market, it's not at the same exact rate. So that means that the actual interest rate is rising more than the actual stock market. That's sad. So moving on to the next article, we actually have the case in New York with the stupid jury over there. So the whole entire thing just felt like The Office. As soon as they announced the trial, they have the cameras on the judge, and the judge is like, oh, hi. And then we have the jury over here, and then it's like, it just looked like they put the Office theme song right underneath it, and it was just the most hilarious thing that I've ever saw in the world, because of the fact that it's just a show trial, and this is exactly what it is. And then now they're gonna take money away from Trump. So this is exactly what they did. He was fined $350 million in civil business fraud trial, and he's banned from doing business in New York for 3 years. So this is going to cut him out to be actually, as soon as he ends the presidency, if he was to win again, then he can finally do business in New York. And, I really wouldn't do business in New York anyway. So move your stuff over to Florida and you'll be good. Judge Arthur Engoron ordered the former president and the Trump administration the Trump organization to pay more than $350 million in damages. Okay, but there's no damages. To whom? To whom did they damage? Crickets, exactly. Because of the fact that there's no paper on paper. Who did they damage? By paying more in taxes, because you artificially increased the value of your companies, who did they damage? Nobody. All of the banks increased their profits year over year with Trump as their consumer, because of the fact that he's paying more for the mortgage, he's paying more for this, he's paying more for this, he's paying more for taxes, excise taxes, he's paying more for. So if anything, they actually benefited from Trump lying about the value of his companies, because of the fact that he is now paying more in all of those fees, all of those taxes. He's paying more because of the fact that if you have a bigger and bigger company, you need to pay more and more taxes. This is a huge misconception about businesses in America. The bigger the company, the more taxes you pay. The more rich you are, the more taxes you pay. You can say, oh, well, Jeff Bezos doesn't pay any taxes. Okay, that's only one form of taxes. He also pays sales tax. He also pays income tax. He also pays all of these other things. If he does not pay income tax and he lives in a state like Florida, which does not have income tax, is only one portion of the amount of taxes that we pay in America. And it's sad. Sales tax is 3.5% on average on every single thing that you buy. A billionaire will buy a yacht. A billionaire will buy a plane, a private jet. They would buy a actual yacht. They would buy all of these things, a mansion. They're paying 3.5% on each of those purchases. They'll go out, they'll buy $1 million this, a $100,000 car, this and that and this and that. You pay sales tax on the sale of the car. You pay sales tax on the insurance. You pay sales tax on your electric. You pay sales tax on your gas. You pay sales tax on your water. You pay sales tax on your sewer. If you have a city sewer, you pay everything. As soon as you wake up, you're being taxed. You pay sales tax on your coffee. If Jeff Bezos goes to Dunkin' Donuts and gets a coffee, he's paying at least 4.5% because that's restaurant tax. All of these billionaires are going to restaurants more than ever before because of the fact that they don't want to cook. If they have a private chef, they're paying taxes. All of these billionaires that pay more in taxes than you are because of the fact that if it's not income tax, they're still paying more taxes than you because they're buying more things than you. They're a billionaire. Of course they're going to be paying more taxes than you. It's just their ludicrous idea that a billionaire, which purchases things all day long with sales tax being included in that, of course we're going to include sales tax because that's the heaviest tax that we all pay every single day. We're paying for gas to drive our car. We're paying for, if you have a yacht, you have to pay for the yacht gas. If you have a private jet, you need to pay for the jet fuel. You're paying for all of this gas. And then on top of that, you're paying taxes. If you pay your worker, you're paying taxes on the worker's salary. So this is what happens. If you work for a corporation, the corporation pays 15% taxes of all of your salary. And then the worker pays the other 15%. That's Social Security, Medicare, and the rest of the BS that we have to pay. But the thing is that the business pays the 15%. So let's just say Jeff Bezos pays you $100,000 per year. He's paying 15% of that. So I would say what is that? $15,000 each year from him is going towards taxes. So what are we talking about here? He does not pay taxes. Amazon pays taxes. Every single time you make a purchase on Amazon, they need to pay the card manufacturers 3%. They're paying other people and then the workers themselves. And not to mention all of the benefits that Amazon has when they come to your community because of all the jobs they produce, all of the delivery drivers, all of the opportunities that they give your community when they move to your town. That's the best part. That's the best part about this American system. If you have a business and you're doing so well, you can actually create jobs for your community. That's the best part. Now, we should give incentives to business to staying in America because it's more expensive to produce things in America. We don't have slave labor. We have fair wages. Now, fair wages depends on each state. That's why there should not be a federal mandate on what minimum wage should be because minimum wage depends on where you live. If you're living in Oklahoma, minimum wage is going to be $7 because you can buy a whole entire you can go to the market and buy a bunch of things. You can buy eggs, you can buy milk, you can buy steak, you can buy this and that and this and that and this. Fill up your cart. It's going to be $150. You fill up your cart with a bunch of things in Boston, it's going to be $300, $400 just to have rent every single month in Oklahoma. Probably going to be $750 per month. And then you go to a city like Boston, and then you're going to be paying $2,000, $3,000 per month just in rent. So there's a huge differential between the amount that you will get or the amount that you have to pay to live in certain cities and certain states. That's why there should be dependent on where you are. So it's very, very complicated stuff. And of course, and we can talk about Joe Biden's failures when it comes to foreign policy all day long too. I mean, but there's a lot more things that we can also look at in America that he failed us at. So moving into the next article, we actually have another Daily Wire article. We have House Intel Republican warns Russian space weapon may blind United States economy and military. So a few days ago when this came out, I was like, I don't really believe this. They said there's a national security emergency. I'm like, every single time we talk about national security details and national security this and oh my God, it's a threat to democracy, I always shut it out completely. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. We have gone through so many years of the Joe Biden administration and the coons of the Joe Biden administration just making up blatant lies about our economy, about this. I don't trust anybody anymore. Even some Republicans, I'm like, listen, if you say there's a national security threat and it's not the border being wide open because of Joe Biden's failure to actually use his executive powers as what he did on day one to retract all of the executive powers that Trump put into place to protect our great country, then I'm not going to listen to you. If it's not those things, if it's not the national security threat that we have from China trying to take over Taiwan and the chip manufacturers for America, in which we rely on for all of our cars, all of our trucks, all of our devices are made, if it's not about any of those things, then I don't want to hear it. So, of course, I shut those things right off. I post on Twitter, I'm like, the national security threat is a BS excuse for you to turn your eye to don't pay attention to all of the failures that Joe Biden did. That's what I originally thought. But then I started looking into it and I'm like, okay, maybe there's a little bit more to the story. Maybe there's a little bit more. Maybe it holds a little bit more water than what I first thought. And it makes sense why it would, because of the fact that Russia is actually testing missiles. They're sending them into space and they're testing missiles for their explosiveness. Now, this is a little bit better than actually detonating it here on Earth here, because of course there's something called oxygen, and when oxygen mixes with a bomb, then it actually starts blowing up and exploding. We don't want to deal with that. If there's an accident, then the whole entire world can end. But if you do put it in space, then that's a little bit better, because of the fact that when it blows up, there's not really a lot that it could take out. Maybe a couple satellites, maybe a couple asteroids, and then the asteroids could be heading towards Mars, and then whatever, it doesn't really matter because it goes out of the sweat. So that's what I'm saying. It would be a lot better if he actually tested these nuclear bombs in space, but at the same exact time, then we can look at the repercussions of him doing this. So let's just say that he was to detonate a bomb in space. It would take out for its field, so there would be radiation and particleization that goes out of the bomb. If there was a, let's just say a satellite to be there, it would be heavily damaged. So let's just say that those satellites are satellites that T-Mobile, MetroPCS, Sprint, AT&T, all of the major cell phone companies run off of. If they get broken, then we won't have service. And if we don't have service, then T-Mobile Wi-Fi for our house, cable internet, we don't have any of that anymore because it all runs off of satellites and GPS. We don't have any GPS, we can't get anywhere. So it's very, very complicated. And this could actually ruin our whole entire economy. This is exactly what they're saying. Moving with the article, a Republican member of the House Intelligence Committee said on Sunday that the space weapon that Russia is trying to develop could blind the United States economy and military. Rep. Mike Watts, Republican from Florida, told Fox News anchor Maria Bartiromo, I am going to butcher that name. I'm very sorry because I do not know how to pronounce people's names whatsoever. Sunday morning features about the potential impacts of a threat that engulfed much of Washington in the past week. If this weapon is allowed to fully deploy, it could completely blind our economy. It could take out our GPS. Watts said, it could blind our military. It is incredibly serious. It's a weapon of mass destruction, not just countries all over the world. The issue came to light last week when the House Intelligence Chairman Mike Turner, Republican from Ohio, released a statement calling on the Biden administration to declassify intelligence about a destabilizing military capacity from a hostile foreign power. In the ensuing days, the White House conceded Russia had been working on an anti-satellite capability, but stressed that it had not been deployed. And Turner has faced blowback from going public after a panel made some details available to all House members. Watts said Turner was, quote, very frustrated after seeing multiple classified letters to the administration asking, what are you going to do to stop this threat, to deal with this threat? He said, and it won't surprise you, we got radio silence. So the committee voted anonymously, Republican, Democrat, to say, you know what, all members need to be aware. This threat is serious, so grave, all members need to be aware. Waltz concluded a kind of blow-up, but emphasized that it should be taken seriously as the dictator of national security intelligence, or the director of national security intelligence and national security advisor, were on the Hill the next day, giving us a strategy and telling us what we're going to do about it. The fear, Watts added, is that the Russian President Vladimir Putin has calculated we are far more dependent on space than he is. So that perhaps this will be the advantage, or that he could use it as a serious deterrence to keep us from doing what we need to do. Bartiromo pointed out that some of Turner's critics have suggested that Chairman was angling to grin up support for more aid to Ukraine, which had stalled in Congress. Watts dismissed the idea that Ukraine funds and visa surveillance authorization were motivating factors of the chairman. Okay, so again, a lot of people were saying that because of the fact that he's coming forward and he's saying that Russia and Putin is going to launch the satellite and blah, blah, blah. A lot of people are like, well, right now there's a bill passing or the bill is going through the House to actually give more funding to Ukraine to protect themselves. So is this just a smokescreen to get us scared? So of course he said no. I mean, that's a very good thing because he's going to lose all credibility if that was the case, especially because of the fact that he's a Republican. So again, we need to actually just take this as it is. We need to be worrisome because Russia could have the capability to wipe out our whole entire economy. Of course, we heavily rely on all of these things, but if there was a greater thing to take away from this is that we need to increase our infrastructure. We need to make sure that we're actually ready for something like this. If there is something that could wipe out all technology in our country, then we need to make sure that we have blockers in the sky for this very thing. We need to make sure that our technology is able to withstand this very thing so we don't have to worry about this in the future. So, like I said, that's going to be the main takeaways of this video. The Joe Biden failures, because of the fact that if Joe Biden wasn't such a failure of a president, we wouldn't have to deal with foreign powers trying to threaten us with a good time on their end. Trump never had any of this. As soon as you tried him, he calls and he's like, I will bomb you. Just like with NATO. A lot of people are saying with NATO, oh, well, Trump wants to dismantle NATO. No, what he said was other countries need to pay their dues. We're the only ones paying in NATO. So if there is a war, we're the ones that's paying for it. If you're so American first, so America first, then why are we the only ones paying for the war that's happening within NATO? So let's just say that there's a war and somebody infiltrates NATO. The United States will be the one to front the bill because no other countries in the whole entire world are paying their NATO dues. That's because of the fact that we don't force them to. But Trump said, listen, he gets on the phone with another country and he says, listen, if you do not pay your NATO dues, you're still part of NATO, but we will not protect you. And he's like, well, if I get invaded, NATO will not protect me if I don't pay this bill. Trump is like, hell yeah, we will not protect you. So pay your dues. And then the country's like, well, behind the scenes here, are you actually? And Trump said, yes, and I will tell Putin to invade you. So pay your dues. And every single person in NATO paid their dues that year because Trump knew that if he was to threaten the other countries by telling Putin or not telling Putin, because it could just be bluff. You don't want to test Trump's bluff because he could actually tell Putin to invade your country. And we're not going to support you because you didn't pay your NATO dues. Just like if you don't pay the electric bill for this month, what do you expect National Grid to do? What, still give you electric? No. What do you expect all of your gas companies to do if you don't pay the gas? No, they're not going to give you anything. They're not going to give you the products that you didn't pay for. If you go to Apple and you're like, can I just not pay for the phone? No, they would laugh in your face and they'll say, no, I'm just not going to give you the phone because you're not paying for it. You don't get what you don't pay for. It doesn't make any sense here. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. We're going to sum up this episode here. If you do want to see more episodes by me, all of this channel is going to be linked down below. You can check out all of the new episodes that I have over on X if you also want to check it out on there. Like I said, this video uploads every single... like I said, new episodes of the show comes out every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you do want to join me, please like and subscribe down below. If you do like my analysis on this, on these topics, politics or world news, I like to cover a little bit, a mix of everything, so we're not in the dark when it comes to, threats to America. Because if we cover foreign policy, we can see what's in the horizon for America, just like America's evil top hat, Canada. We can see that the train track that they're on, we're just following them. We're a couple of train links behind them, so we're following the same trajectory as them. That's why I like to look at foreign policy and see what they're doing and see how it relates to America and see how we can better our country. So, like I said, I do upload new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you do want to join me, please turn post notifications on so you know when I upload a brand new video. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for enjoying, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.